Hey Marsicle, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to tell you all about my most anticipated reads of 2021. I didn't restrain myself this year. This list has more than 40 books and it is very unrealistic that I would read all of them because I read about 55 books a year and a lot of them are backlist books. But this list is based on early hype. My priorities might change further into the year and some books might come out that we didn't even hear about because sometimes publishers decide to announce books 3 months before release. You probably have seen a lot of these types of videos before, so I'm just going to tell you what you can encounter here, and if you're interested you can proceed and watch this video. I have a lot of queer releases on this list, young adult and adult releases, a bunch of romances, and some adult and young adult fantasy. Mostly adult fantasy because that's something I want to get back into. Since we have a lot to talk about, I will try to be concise and I suggest we start now. I'm going to go in the order of release and start with January releases. The first book that I find intriguing comes out on January 12th. It's The Lady's Guide to Wizardry and it's by C.M. Waggoner. Now the synopsis is really exciting. It's supposed to be about this woman that is hired to protect a rich lady from some kind of danger and falls for another guard. It's a sapphic book too, and I guess no one is surprised if you've been following me for a while. I think that it sounds absolutely incredible and I cannot wait to dive into this one. The next book also comes out on January 12th and it's The Perfect Guest by Emma Rous. The novel is set in 1988 and it follows an orphan named Beth whose aunt leaves her with her friends, with a family that lives in this old mansion. She becomes close friends with the daughter of the family and starts feeling like she's a part of it, but then the family invites her to play a part in a seemingly innocent game and some dark stuff starts happening, I believe. Very interested in this one because it sounds like it's going to be a gothic novel, plus it's a historical, plus there are some thriller elements. I love a story about a dark family secret, so I really want to check this one out. The next one is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda. It comes out on January 19th and it feels like I've been waiting for this book for 2 years because I believe it was on my most anticipated books of 2019 first. I think they postponed the publishing of this book, which probably means that it needed a bit more editing. I'm really excited about this one. I love Malinda. I've read everything Malinda had written, I believe. It's set in 1950s in Chinatown in a secret lesbian club named Telegraph, and it follows two girls. One of them is Chinese American, the other one is white, I believe, and they fall in love. I'm especially interested in this setting because it's supposed to be during a Red Scare. The protagonist's father is facing deportation, so I think this one is going to be both heartwarming and heartbreaking. On January 21st, I'm expecting The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. It sounds very cool. It's supposed to be about this con artist that wants to infiltrate a noble house to secure her future and the future of her sister. I guess she wants to steal something, and there is an element of masquerades in it. Somehow I have a lot of con artists and criminals on this list. I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be a trend in publishing right now. The next book that I'm also interested in that also has a con artist comes out on January 26th. It's The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharpe. This one is about a teenage girl that has been many people in the past because she is a con artist working with her father. I don't know if the father is still alive. From the premise, it feels like he's dead now. She doesn't fool anyone in this book. She is taken hostage in a bank robbery. The premise of this is just chef's kiss. I also know that Tess Sharpe writes a lot of queer lit, and I believe this one also has a queer protagonist. And the last one in January that I'm looking forward comes out on 31st. It's A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I found this one through Twitter. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. It's a retelling of Dracula from the point of view of Dracula's brides that are sapphic and polyamorous. This idea was taken directly out of the part of my brain that is responsible for fantasies, because it is everything I've ever wanted and I have a lot of expectations for it. February for me is going to start with a very exciting release by Courtney Summers. Finally, I was waiting for something by Courtney Summers since Sadie because I absolutely love that book. The book is called The Project and is coming out on February 2nd. What are the odds that an author that I had fallen in love with recently is coming out with a book about a specific fixation that I have right now? The Project is a thriller about a cult. I'm extremely curious about the topic. I've been watching so many documentaries about cults in 2020, so I cannot wait for this book. I think it's about a brother and a sister, and one of them falls into the grubby hands of a cult, and the other one is trying to save them. Not only this one is about a cult, it's also about strong familial relationships. The next exciting release comes out also on February 2nd. It's The Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. This one is from Tor, and it's a fantasy romance with an arranged marriage. It sounds so good. It's about these two guys that have to marry each other because they represent their planets, countries, I don't know, but it's a classic romance trope. Usually the people that have to marry don't like each other or hate each other for some reason. And in this one, they also hold some kind of resentment that they have to get over because someone is killed in the castle. I don't really know where they live, but someone is killed and they have to investigate the murder together and to learn to trust each other. Another book that also comes on February 2nd is What Big Teeth by Rous. This one is a young adult novel that I'm making an exception for. Lately I've been reading only queer young adult books because I'm trying to cut the amount of young adult books that I read a year in general. So this one is an exception just because the topic is very interesting and this book is very me, or at least it sounds very me. So it's supposed to be about this teenage girl that has to go back to her relatives, to this very old dilapidated house, and she has to learn their big dark secret. I believe that the family is a family of vampires or something. I think the title implies it. It sounds a little bit like an Addams Family situation, and if it's going to be so, I'm going to enjoy it very much because the Addams Family is one of my favorite families in the history of media. The next one comes out on February 23rd, and it's also a young adult contemporary fantasy / urban fantasy, and I'm very pumped that we're getting more urban fantasies that are not 10 books long. This one is supposed to be sapphic. It's called A Dark and Hollow Star and it's written by Ashley Shuttleworth. I understand nothing of the plot, which makes this video a bit useless, but I know that it's supposed to be about fairy wars and we follow two characters. One is a fairy and one is a fey prince. After the Cruel Prince, I want more fairy stories that have interesting world building, but I wasn't satisfied with the books that we have so far because they're usually very focused on the romance, and while I don't mind romance, I would have loved it to be queer. Otherwise, I'm not that interested. The other book that also comes on February 23rd is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I have so much expectation for this book. It is supposed to be a romantic comedy, I believe, and it follows a young woman that marries another woman in Las Vegas while drunk and now has to deal with the mess. This plot already is so fun and so dramatic and I am into it. I hope it's good. I'm always advocating for more FF rom-coms and we're finally getting some. And we're jumping to March, which is going to be very rich on releases. The first one comes out on March 2nd. It's Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. It's a companion to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was one of my favorites in 2020. A lot of people love this book, and for a good reason. It's very delightful, it's very uplifting, it's a very different adult fantasy. And I'm really excited for the sequel, even if it's going to follow different characters, because I just want to get back into this world. The next one is also sapphic, and it comes out on March 9th. It's Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. It's about this girl that helps her friend win over a girl that she also has a crush on. Reminds me a little bit of the half of it, but I suspect this one is going to be a bit more fun and happy. I love the half of it, don't get me wrong, but this one is just giving me a more fun vibe. We'll see. This one is a young adult contemporary as well. The next one also comes on March 9th. It's also a sapphic book, but it's a fantasy. It's Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. Sweet and Bitter Magic is supposed to be about these two witches that I feel like don't like each other but have to work together for some reason. No matter how many sapphic enemies to lovers you give me, I'm going to read them all. I'm never tired of the trope and the authors are always fitting me well. The next book is also sapphic from an author that I read before and whose work I really loved. It's Bruised by 𝕋𝕀𝕄𝔼𝕊𝕋𝕸 and it comes out on March 23rd. This one sounds amazing because it's sapphic and it's also about roller derby, and there's nothing more sapphic than roller derby. Also, kind of we all agree that Whippet should have been much gayer than it is. It's just devastating that a movie about the gayest sport is so straight. Also on March 23rd comes out Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. This is a retelling of Peter Pan from an author whose work I really loved in 2020 as well. Aidan Thomas is the author of Cemetery Boys. And the last one for March in my list is She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd. I know very little about it. I just know that it's a queer young adult thriller, and I'm not only looking for more young adult thrillers that are actually good. I'm also very into queer thrillers because I don't feel like there's very many of them. And we're diving into April with Malice by Heather Walter. It comes out on April 13th and this one sounds incredibly good. It is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, where Sleepy Beauty and Maleficent have a romance. This sounds terrific. I am obsessed already. I don't even know if the contents of the book are good, but I'm willing to throw my money on it. I don't remember if it's young adult or adult, but I just don't think it matters. I would have loved if it was adult and smutty too, because that's who I am as a person. But if it's young adult, I would accept it as well. The next one is an adult fantasy. It also comes out on April 13th. It's The Helm of Midnight by Marina J. Lostetter. I looked into this author and she writes primarily sci-fi, or so it seems at a first glance. This one is kind of a mix of genres. As far as I've understood from the synopsis, a chain of murders happens in the city and the people that investigate these cases decide to help themselves by wearing the mask of a known serial killer because it helps them to get into the mind of killers. It does give me a bit of a Hannibal vibe thematically, and I really wanted to read more adult fantasy, so this sounds like something I would like. The next release I'm very pumped for, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of it is because of the cover. It's She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. It's coming out on April 20, and this cover is so gorgeous. I read this author in 2020, wasn't that impressed with the book. Nothing was wrong with it, I was just a bit too old for it, I think, and thematically it wasn't that exciting for me. This one though doesn't sound like a hard-hitting contemporary or just a general contemporary, it sounds more like a romance, and it's usually more of my cup of tea. It is about a cheerleader and an athlete dating in high school. I think they also hate each other, so it's hate to love. This cover though, stunning, gorgeous. I want a print of it on my wall because it's just beautiful. The next exciting one also comes out on April 20. It's In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. Don't know anything about the author, never heard their name before, but it's about gay pirates. And we love pirates and we love the gays because we're also the gays. So I need to check that out. It seems like it's going to be adventurous and romantic, and what else do I need? I want to vicariously live my gay Pirates of the Caribbean fantasy, so this book sounds like it's going to do the job. The next one is a book that is specifically interesting to me. I don't feel like it's very hyped. It's This Feathered Flames by Alexandra Avery, and it's also coming out on April 20. This one is a sapphic Slavic inspired fantasy, and I'm picking it up because sometimes I do videos where I read books that are inspired by Russian lore or books that are set in Russia because I am Russian, and I don't know, it's just fun to do this so I can give my commentary, and I think this one is going to be perfect for that. In May we have quite a few releases. I feel like the spring of 2021 is going to be very busy, but putting that aside, on May 11th we are finally going to be graced with a release from Dahlia Adler. She's one of my faves I really love her work and I also really love her. If you don't follow her on Twitter, she is a beautiful soul and you should. The book is titled Cool for Summer and it follows a bisexual girl that is pulled in two directions. There's a guy that is perfect on paper and a girl that she likes very, very much, but I think she's just wrong for her or bad for her maybe. I don't know. The cover is so cute. It's just so cute and it's in bisexual colors mostly. I can't wait. I love the way Dalia Adler writes. If you want to get a taste, check out her Radley University series. It's a new adult romance series. The next one comes out on May 18th and it's May the Best Man Win by 𝕹𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊. This one is about a transgender guy who's an athlete and who wants to get the title of prom king. A lot of books recently about queers conquering prom. The next one is an adult dark academia. It's Madam by Phoebe Wynne and it also comes out on May 18th. This one is a dark academia book from the point of view of a teacher. When I found this, I wanted to scream because I wanted a dark academia from the point of view of the teacher for so long. This one I believe is set in all-girls boarding school and it follows a newly hired teacher that discovers some dark secrets about the whole establishment. The next one is a very, very anticipated release but has a very, very odd title. It's Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. It also comes out on May 18th and when I heard the title of this book, I didn't know what to do. I thought it's a prank because it just doesn't match well with the other titles. The cover also is very sus. It's very much Spy Kids and Artemis Fowl. And that is so weird for me because this series especially reads a bit older. The marketing around this book seems to be full of poor decisions, in my opinion. But we're still very excited. It's the second book in the spin-off about Ronan. And the ending in the first book left me very nervous. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope no one I care about dies. The next one is a fake dating sapphic young adult romance, and I also love a fake dating trope. I just love the classics. So it's Hani and Isha's Guide to Fake Dating by Ariba Jagirdar, and my Russian accent just popped off. This one is about a girl that for some reason lies to her friends that she's dating someone. I think to not appear to be a loser, and when asked who exactly, under pressure says the name of her sworn enemy. It's both fake dating and enemies to lovers and sapphic, and we just love to see it. Also on the same date comes out a release by Alexa Dunn. It's the author that I follow on YouTube and I really, really love her. I love her approach to writing and in general her personality. I was not interested in her first series because those were sci-fi romances and I'm not really into MF sci-fi romances. But The Ibis is a young adult thriller about people that are trying to get into this elite university by all means possible, which is an exciting premise and an exciting genre for me. Also May 25th comes out a release by Lisa Cole. She's an adult romance author and she's been writing a romance series about royals, which I have to catch up on because she is coming out with a spin-off. I think it's a spin-off. And the first book in it is going to be How to Find a Princess. It's a sapphic royal romance. Do I have to explain why I want to read it? I think I don't have to. And the last one for me also comes out on May 25th. A lot of books come out on May 25th. This one is Not My Problem by Sierra Smith, and it's about a girl that helps other people fix their problems in very inventive ways. I believe she helps someone break their leg or arm to be able to skip an exam or a test or something. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but it sounds like a very odd idea for a business. This one is also sapphic. June 1st is the day in my calendar that I'm going to circle because the book that I've been waiting for at least for a year is going to come out. Even pronouncing the title of this book makes me giddy with excitement. Casey McQuiston's Red, White and Royal Blue made me so happy. I still think back to this novel and think that I need to read it sometime because the amount of serotonin isn't much to any other book. And this one is her sapphic release, which is a bit unusual. It's a romantic comedy, but it's also about two women stuck in a time loop It sounds perfect. The early reviews that I've seen are all gushy and they make me even more pumped for it. June 1st is going to be something. How the booktube is going to read this book, and I really hope that it's going to be good. Another June 1st release, The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Scruffer, I think. It's about these two dudes that are stuck on the same ship and they hate each other, and I believe that no one else is there with them and something dark is happening on it too. So a survival story but also romance. I'm very excited for this one. Sounds like it's gonna be fun. Another release on the same date that sounds very interesting as well, The Witch King by 𝕋𝕊𝕆𝕊𝕂𝕊. It's about a transgender witch that has to face his traumatic past and a royal fiancé that he left behind to save the Fae Kingdom. So another book about the Faes, and I love the fact that the Faes are getting a bit more diverse. At least I love that fact because I'm a bit tired of the same bland Faes, and the Faes are definitely a trend at the moment. So I think we're going to get more of them for a few years. The next book was announced recently. It's The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Cat Sebastian, and it's coming out on June 8th. And we all know how much I love Cat Sebastian. Cat Sebastian is everything for me when it comes to historical queer romances, and I wish someone would give her a chance to write an FF historical romance. Someone needs to do something about it. This one is a mem. I will read it, I will love it, I know that, but I still want a full-length FF historical romance novel. I'm just screaming into the universe at this point. This one is supposed to be about a reluctantly reformed highwayman and the aristocrat who threatens to steal his heart. I don't want to read more of the synopsis because I want to go into it not knowing much. I feel like I enjoy Cat Sebastian books when I don't really know what they're going to be about. The next one comes on June 10th, and it's also a book about dark academia, but one that digs deeper into the institutional racism of higher education. It's an interesting topic. Usually dark academia deals with murder and rich people that do bad things, and this one seems to have a bit more of a social commentary. The name of the book is Ace of Spades, and it's written by 𝕋𝕀𝕆𝕂𝕊𝕋𝕸𝕊𝕂𝕊. I think I've pronounced it right. I'm not very good at reading pronunciation guides because it's my second language, so treat me gently in the comments. Also, have you seen the cover of this book? The 2021 covers are so good. I also think that at least one of the characters in this book is queer. I've heard something about it. The next book is sapphic for sure. It's Gear Breakers by Zoe Hannah Mikota, and it comes out on June 29th. It's pitched like a mix of Pacific Rim, which I like, and Mary Lou's Legend, which I don't like. It's about these two girls that are fighting on the opposite sides of the war and discover that they're actually fighting for the same purpose. So they start working together and they fall in love. As we go further into the year, there are less and less releases that are known to be scheduled. So July, August, September, November, and December are relatively empty in my list. I have for July She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. It comes out on July 20. It's the retelling of Mulan. And we've had quite a few, but this one is an adult queer retelling. I always wanted a queer retelling of Mulan specifically. Obviously, this is not based on the Disney version, it's based on the original tale of Mulan. There are a few August releases. First one lacks the date, but I know that it's going to be out in August. It's Like Other Girls by Britta London. This one is about a teenager that joins the football team in her rural town and inspires other girls to follow her steps, which sounds really cute and mildly dramatic. I'm going to read this book because it has a butch character and we rarely get them in books. Well, in media in general. The next one comes out on August 3rd, and it's The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. This one I don't know much about, and the synopsis is very weak. I know that it's a young adult thriller, and it kind of gives me the same vibe as Rory Power because it's very mysterious, probably fucked up, which I am hoping for, because you know how I love when things go a bit weird when it comes to thrillers and mysteries. So we'll see what this one is going to be about. I will check reviews of it before picking it up. The next one also comes out on the same date. It's A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I don't know many details, I just know that it's a sapphic dark academia book, and dark academia, as you know, is something I love and I read, and it being sapphic only sweetens the deal for me. I know that Victoria Lee has a pretty popular duology, which wasn't for me because I'm not into kids with superpowers, but this one sounds like something completely different from what she had written before, so I want to check it out. I have nothing for September and October so far, but I do have one release for November 9th specifically. It's All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. I've read Christine Lynn Herman, wasn't very just about her previous series. I'm also reading Amanda Foody and I'm liking her more. This one is supposed to be about morally grey characters that participate in something that is very similar to Hunger Games. I don't know what it's going to look like, but a book about a competition is always a fun book, so I'm really interested what this duo is going to produce. These are all the books that I'm excited about. That's honestly a lot of books, and I don't know how I'm going to choose from this list the ones that I'm actually going to read, but I hope I've given you a bit of an overview of books that seem to be very interesting. In the comments down below, you can tell me about the books you're excited about. Maybe there are some books that you think I'm going to like and I didn't mention them. Perhaps I just don't know about them. If you reach the end of this video, I highly doubt it because I bet it's 40 minutes long. Leave an emoji with a stack of books in the comments down below. That is all for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. I'll see you in another one, but until then, bye.